I think we kind of end up live on like Mountain Time or something. Let me, where's that audio coming from? Weird.
Hopefully I'm not breathing super heavy in the mic.
I've got a pretty heavy buzz going on.
I don't hear it.
I wonder if they hear it on the stream.
I just don't want to be breathing like James Gandolfini over here.
James Gandolfini.
Do you ever notice that on Sopranos? He was always like...
I think it was because he was doing some breathworks techniques. You know, he was very stressed out about lots of things.
Yes.
You know, he was just trying to keep his cool. Like
he did that whole breathe through the nose and exhale through the mouth loudly thing.
Yeah. Pretty incredible stuff. It's probably well, where is it actually coming from? Maybe your kick? I don't know. Oh, that sounds nice.
You sound nice.
Oh, thank you. Hey, I want to welcome you to the special session of the Midwest Music Hour, live from the living room today. I'm your host, Scott Kirby. Stoked to have the Reverend Meantooth in the living room with me. If you're not familiar with Tom Jordan, geez, let's get familiar with him. And let's start off with a tune. What do you got in your can there for us, Reverend?
Oh, you're just going to throw me out there right off the bat, play something. All right.
Preach it, preach it, preach it.
I see how it is. All right, then.
Some days the price you ask is more than I can bear. Take my soul, take my soul, take my soul. Oh Lord, won't you take my soul, take my soul, take my soul. Oh Lord, won't you take my soul, take my soul, take my soul. Oh Lord, won't you take my soul, take my soul, take my soul. This world is dark and painful, and the tears won't wash away. Don't want to take me, I can't wait for Judgment Day. Some days I want to give up and give the devil his way. Some days the price you ask is more than I can bear.
Yeah. Wicked. Oh, that was pretty sweet. Good thing we did that. Sound check.
Sound check's always good.
Yeah, man. What's the name of that one?
Take My Soul.
Take My Soul. And that's on the new Reverend Meantooth EP coming out in fall of 2022.
It's actually already up on Spotify and all that stuff. So I watched this documentary about cults, and this lady was like talking about how she couldn't wait for Jesus to take her, and the interviewer was like, well, what about your family? Like, what about your loved ones? She's like, they'll be fine. Like, I just want Jesus to take me because this world is too messed up. And they're like, well, what about birthdays and, graduations and all this other stuff that you'll miss? And she's like, Jesus is more important. So after I watched that, I was like, that is crazy. So I'm going to write a song about it. So I wrote a gospel song about that lady.
Right on. Yeah, let's talk about the whole synopsis of Reverend Meantooth. I mean, you've been a professional musician for over a decade, a long time, and you've had lots of different bands that maybe not lots, but let's just say you've gone through some name changes.
Mm-hmm.
And some of that, what are we starting off with? Meantooth Grin as like a Meantooth Grin, Goddamns, 20 Watt Tombstone. And your solo project has been sprinkled throughout that at various times.
Yeah, I mean, I was in a band called Meantooth Grin, and we played out a bunch and did a little bit of travel, but it was never really enough for me. And the bass player had a family and full-time job, and so it was one of those things. I really loved playing with those guys, but I just I guess I had like a different goal as far as what I wanted to do. And that's really what it boils down to with a lot of bands is like, you can have great music and get along great and all that stuff, but if you don't have the same goals, it just kind of becomes one person pulling against the other. And I wanted to play more, and guys with jobs, that's super tough, and families and that sort of thing. And so I always kind of had it in the back of my head, like I wanted to play more. But I didn't think that band was really going to be able to play as much as I needed to. So I started the duo that I'm in now with Mitch, which is now called 20 Watt Tombstone. But at the time, it was called the Goddamns, and that went over like a fart in church, so we had to change our name. Could not trademark the name because at the time it wasn't legal to trademark a swear word. And then our first tour, we had issues with our booking agent trying to book us in the Bible Belt, and people were like, yeah, we love it, we love the music, but the name is just too much. So we changed it to 20 Watt Tombstone, and that's around the time where Doug Craning actually came up with the name Reverend Meantooth for me, and it just kind of stuck. So in the beginning, I didn't want anybody to know that I was even in 20 Watts, so I just put on the Facebook page like Reverend Meantooth, and it just kind of became a thing. So when I started doing solo shows, I figured it just made sense for branding purposes to keep some familiarity from 20 Watt into this to hopefully maybe steal some fans, so I didn't have to play to bartenders and door guys alone every night. Yeah. So, but yeah, that's kind of where it all kind of came from, I guess.
Now, one thing that I've really always been enamored with or captivated by, aside from your music, is the great artwork that you've got produced behind you, the various artists for your bands. And, when, like you're saying, Doug Craning, coined that Reverend Meantooth phrase a couple years back or whatnot, but you got some really great artwork. You're working with some cool visual artists who are creating these images and whatnot that really just, I mean, you got to have as an artist. Ties your package together, and
Oh, for sure.
Can we talk about that a little bit? Can we?
Yeah. I've always been an art guy, even outside of music. Like my grandma is a artist and painter. So like when I was a little kid, she would actually take me out in like a field with her while she would just sketch buildings and paint. And I remember when I was really little, probably like 6 or 7, she took me out to a field and she did an oil painting of this old beat up rickety house. And I just basically sat in the grass and played with toy cars and watched her paint. So art's always kind of been, part of me from the get-go. But I've always been drawn to bands and music that have good artwork. I think it's a good advertisement for, the package of what you're getting. Because I've seen a lot of bands where they'll have great music and then, you have this boring ass CD cover that just, it's like a plain blue cover with gold lettering that says, the band's name or whatever. There's a lot of stuff like that. And there's something to be said for, tasteful, clean artwork. But I think artwork that grabs you from far away and kind of makes you check the record out is, important. Because like all the stuff I grew up with, that's how it was. Like, Dio had amazing artwork. Sabbath always had, killer artwork. Iron Maiden had amazing artwork. Like all those metal bands from the 80s and 90s just had this artwork that would catch you, So I grew up with a lot of that stuff, and art being important, it just kind of became a thing. So now with 20 Watt especially is kind of where the art thing kind of settled in, and I found my groove. Because what I started doing is I started making shirts and designs that I would buy, and it turned into a pretty decent money thing for the band. So in the beginning, we had Dan Beazle working with us, and he's been a buddy for years, and his artwork is on our Split record. It's on our EP, Year of the Jackalope. Ton of posters, ton of early stuff. And then when he stepped down from doing art, we got Jonathan Grimm out of Chicago to take over and do that stuff. So now he's doing stuff for us. And it's a different style than Dan, but, I think the music has evolved. So I think the art has kind of changed with that musical change too. Kind of makes sense. But John is now doing all of my Reverend Meantooth stuff too. So it's good to have an artist that you get along with, that you can text at 3 a.m. in the morning and give him your super weird idea and he doesn't think you're nuts. I have some very odd ideas, and God bless John for for putting up with some of them. But
Well, hey, speaking of other artists, let's talk about your custom slides here.
oh yeah,
These things are great. I got mine over there in the corner in my little container. How did that come about?
I've always wanted a slide deal, but every single time I try anything by anybody else, I don't like it. I used the same slide for almost 25 years, 23 and a half years. And, it was this beat up Dunlop mudslide that has like cracks in it and big gashes from where I banged it into the frets over the years. Never broke it, but it was like a super thick, super durable slide. Used it for years. And I tried other slides, and when I try them on, I don't like the way they felt on my finger. I don't like the way they sounded. Like I couldn't find the right deal. And a lot of the guys that would offer me endorsements would be like, well, here's the deal. So this is what you get. We're not customizing anything. You pick which one of these you like, and, we'll say it's yours. So it was really impersonal too. Like nobody really kind of made me feel like I was wanted, which, is whatever. You got to go with what sells. But so I stumbled across this Celestial Slides company that makes these in a group on Facebook, and the guy had posted a bunch of his slides, and they looked cool. And checked out his page, and he builds cigar box guitars, and he's from the UK. So I was like, well, I'll give these a shot. Ordered 4 of them, and the guy emailed me. His name is Dylan, and he was like, hey, just like to get to know everybody that buys my stuff, blah, blah, blah. And so we started talking. I told him what band I was in, and he checked, 20 Watt out, and he was like, man, this is awesome. This is like my kind of thing. This is super cool. And somehow, one way or another, we started talking about a slide endorsement, and I kind of up front was like, well, I'd be down, but I have very, very specific needs. And he was super cool. He was like, you tell me what you need, I'll make it. So I kind of thought maybe the guy wasn't really going to follow through because I didn't want to get my hopes up. But, I sent him specs of what I wanted, and he made 2 prototypes in 2 different lengths and sent them to me, and they were awesome. So I was like, let's do it. So he's been awesome to deal with. The company is called Celestial Slides, and he basically started making slides over COVID, and he's just really good at it. So, yeah, it was kind of one of those things where I wasn't really expecting, I wasn't out there looking for it, I guess, and it just kind of happened. So, and he's awesome. Like, I talk to him, a couple times a month at least, sometimes more, about what we want to do for slides in the future, and how we can do it so we can both make money and make it easier for people to get them. Like, he's a super cool guy, and he's very down with making it so that customers can get what they need, you can get what you need, and all that good stuff. So I'm very happy about that, and he did a great job with these. I really dig them.
Now, is it something that's available that if somebody still wanted those, they could order it? Or was that kind of a one-shot deal, first-time exclusivity thing to see, that type of thing?
Well, originally, I didn't think they were going to sell as well as they did, so I figured I would have a bunch of slides to just dump off on people. Yeah. So I was asking music stores and stuff like, will you carry these? Like, how many will you take? Like, how does this work? But when we did pre-orders, I actually sold all of them.
Yeah, baby.
So
that's awesome.
Yeah, we sold like 40 of these things like before they even were made.
Yeah.
So the plan is now we're going to make another one. We're going to do a different color, and we are discussing putting the Doom video game logo on it. Ooh. And having that say Doom Tube.
The Doom Tube. Yeah.
But yeah, this one, I think this is going to be like the first limited edition, whatever, the orange, with the Orange Amps font on it, which coincidentally, I hit Orange up, and I told him the idea. I was like, I want to use your font, and put Doom Tube on it or whatever. And the lady was like, well, let me talk to the higher ups. And I thought, yeah, she's not going to get back to me, or it's going to be a no. But they came back and they were like, yeah, it's super cool. Go for it. So I actually have their blessing on that too, which was pretty cool.
Dude, that is sick. Well, we'll take that every time you're feeling like insignificant or whatever,
For sure.
Man. I was going to say that I'd never tried a ceramic slide before. I've always been familiar with glass or brass, That's what really kind of made me like this slide so much, this Doom Tube, because it's ceramic inside. It's gridded. It sticks to your finger,
Doesn't go sailing off and hit somebody in the head.
Slide off your finger, right? Yeah, exactly. And yeah, it's got some nice, it's a good size. It's got some beef to it or whatever, but it's very, very smooth too. That ceramic glaze has a different way that it goes across the strings.
Yeah, and what I like too is the unfinished inside, absorbs sweat too, and I have really sweaty hands, so that's almost like a must for me. Like, that's why I've never been able to use metal or glass or any of that stuff, because it'll go sailing off and be busted on the floor. And these, one end is actually finished and the other one isn't, so it actually will grip on the bottom of your finger too, which is kind of nice. But and then he made the walls thicker too, because I'm a firm believer. I think that impacts the tone too. I think you get a fatter tone out of a thicker slide.
Right on. Well, hey, let's put it to work. Let's see if you're going to sweat on this next tune. What you got next for us?
This next one is going to be a song that I'm going to release on the 11th. It's actually an old song I wrote in 2009.
Oh, is this the Before the Devil Knows You're Dead?
Yeah. I wrote this in 2009, and back then I didn't have a whole lot of friends that had died, so 3 verses was easy. Now I've had like 13 people die, and every time somebody dies, I try to write a verse about it. And a few months back, I was just kind of like, why am I sitting on this song and all these verses? Like, I should release this. So I released it with Meantooth Grin back in the day, but it was a completely different version. And, like I said, it just, you know how it is. You record a song, and then later you're like, oh, I wish I would have done this differently, done that differently. So anyway, as the years have progressed, I've written more verses for this song. And so I decided to do like a 3 or 4 part thing where I release like part 1, part 2, and each version has different lyrics that are about different people that died. Some are people that I loved. Some are people I didn't love. There's a couple of verses where it's pretty dark and sounds like I have distaste for the person, and I might. But yeah, anyway, so this song is all about death and the devil and maybe going to heaven, maybe going to hell.
Ebony killer playing for his meals. Left behind 2 ex-wives and way too many shitty deals. Look up in the sky, it's raining hot lead. Hope you get to heaven, for the devil knows you're dead. Get to heaven, for the devil knows you're dead. The devil waiting for this fires to be fed. Ain't no fooling him from your deathbed. Hope you get to heaven before the devil knows you're dead. Vehicular homicide, he was only 21. Killed by some drunk out on Highway 61. Family crying, his fiancé never waited. Hope you get to heaven, for the devil knows you're dead. Get to heaven, for the devil knows you're dead. The devil waiting for these fires to be fed. Ain't no fooling him from your deathbed. To heaven before the devil knows you're dead. Three packs a day from the time he was 13. All his father taught him and all he'd ever seen. Cancer took his speech and all the hair on his head. Hope you get to heaven, for the devil knows you're dead. Get to heaven, for the devil knows you're dead. Devil's waiting for these fires to be fed. Ain't no fooling him from your deathbed. Hope you get to heaven before the devil knows you're dead.
Yeah, man, I love it. I love it. I remember when that record came out. It was, I mean, right about the time I was getting introduced to Marty Chayka.
Yep, that's where we recorded that back in the day.
I was just, what a sick record, man.
Thanks, man.
Thank you. March, what is it, 15th? 12th? Which one? 12th or 15th? Saturday, it's March 12th. Is it March 12th?
What are we talking about?
I mean, anybody can chime in and let me know. I'm just going to pull up my... It's the 12th. It is March 12th. You're going to be here in Rhinelander at the Rhinelander Brewing Company on March 12th.
At first I was like, what are you talking about? What's happening on that day?
Should I be somewhere?
I never know where I am anymore.
Should I do something?
Yeah, March 12th, I will be at Rhinelander Brewing Company.
Yeah, man. And so shout out to them quick because they've been hosting a lot of music as of late and a lot of cool artists. The Kevin Tressler Band was just in town the other week. That was really cool. I know that they've been, it's just nice to see live music coming back to businesses downtown, and great to have support from the Rhinelander Brewing Company for live music. And you're starting that set, what? Is that a 5 to 7? Is that a...
I think it's a 6
to 8?
6 to 8, something like that. Yeah, okay. I think it starts at 6.
Cool. That going to be a solo Reverend Meantooth show, or will you have Keith with you?
That will just be me. I've been doing a lot of shows with Keith Daniel, though, like a ton. But yeah, we just fit really well. He's got kind of the occult, almost satanic blues thing going on, and I've got the gospel-y Jesus thing going on. So we mix it up. Our posters are a Ouija board with our names on it. So it's pretty funny though. We like Keith is a very laid back person, and he listened to a lot of Sabbath records as a kid. That's all it is. And one of the clubs he was pitching him and I to, the guy said something about, yeah, the music is cool, but it's a little much for this Jesus guy. I was like, oh, he's one of those dudes. But I'm like, you should have told him you were doing shows with a reverend. But
that would have made it better.
Yeah, I am actually a reverend too. Like, it's not just,
You've been ordained to perform weddings and funerals and stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't yet. I tend to discourage people from it.
You say, hey,
never done it before.
It's an institution.
But I
run
have
away from it. Run away.
I have the ability to do so, and I have the little book and I have the little card that says clergy and all that cool stuff. So,
if there was a place that you were going to perform a marriage ceremony, would you have a special event or a special place that you would just like? It would be a yes from you just because of the venue.
The weirder the better. Like, if somebody was just like, yeah, will you marry us? I'd probably say no. But if I don't know, if it was something really weird, I'd probably be into it. Yeah. I don't know. Like, I don't know. That's a good question. I'll have to think on that one, but yeah.
It was a bunch of years back, I think, at a music festival that somebody was gonna have a exchanging of vows, get married there. I think they wanted Tuck to marry him or something like that. Drove me off the edge. It was pretty wild, but yeah, because I don't know. Maybe sometimes there's something like that where it's a concert, like Project Mayhem. Somebody wants to get married out there or something. Like, would you be like, okay, that's a sick venue, great, great opportunity for you to say yes to this.
I'd break out the white suit for that.
You break out the white suit.
Yeah, I almost wear the suit today. I was kind of torn. I was like, I don't know if this is going to be like, I don't know. I wasn't sure how dressed up I should be, but yeah. For people who have never seen me before, I usually don't wear that at shows, but eventually it's probably going to come out at shows. I'm just...
Yeah. I can't wait. It's almost like that John Travolta in Saturday Night Fever type vibe,
Well, the funny part is the press photos and the poster and stuff have me in the white suit with the red tie and the leather boots on, and people will actually be like, "What? No suit? You're not wearing the suit tonight?" I'm like, "Dude, it's white. Like, can you imagine gigging in a white suit? Like, it's hard enough to keep it clean for photo shoots. Like, the biggest thing is 20 Watt's shooting a music video in a while, and I have to wear that suit in the video. So I'm kind of waiting till after that when I can mess it up. But I've got to keep it pristine for that video. So after that video, I'll probably wear it at Reverend Meantooth shows. But
the dry cleaning alone would.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm reminded of like a scene in the Blues Brothers movie. You know, they wear these suits all the time or whatever, and you can almost tell that like those white shirts that are supposed to be white are not, anymore.
Dude,
because
white is hard to keep clean. It's really
off
hard
yellow.
to keep clean.
It's almost like tobacco.
That's why
stains
I
and stuff.
don't have anything white except that suit.
Yeah, that's beautiful. But otherwise, Jamrock is this Saturday with Keith Daniels, right? You got a gig there?
Yep. Green Bay, I'm playing with Keith Saturday at Jamrock in Green Bay. I didn't even know that Jamrock was a place in Green Bay till we booked this show, but apparently it's a cool spot. A bunch of people told me it's a good spot, so we'll see how it goes.
Right on. What is, like you already mentioned, kind of like the yin and yang. He's got the devil side. You've got the, the gospel side and whatnot. What other things can people expect when they come out and see the two of you sharing a bill? He's got some, like, he's got like a piano on the floor that he plays with his feet. What is that about?
Yeah,
is that special build? Is that just like a keyboard like this that he's just using his feet on?
He has he got it at like a dollar store not a dollar store, like a thrift store, and he programmed different drums into the different sections of the keys. So he'll hit his kick with the one foot, and then he's hitting keys on the keyboard with the other foot. But watching him is pretty entertaining because he doesn't have to look at the keyboard to know what parts he's hitting. So he'll hit like his snare, and then you'll just see him move his foot over and hit like a crash on it, and then he'll go back to the snare. It's pretty great. But when he starts playing, it's pretty funny because people will see this guy, setting up his stuff. And he usually brings lights and a rug, and he's got like this whole thing that he does. But when they see him break the keyboard out and start like sound checking, it's pretty funny to see people's reactions because they go from completely ignoring us to, "Hey, what's this? What's going on here? This weirdo's playing keys with his feet." But I've known Keith for probably 15 years. He used to be in a band called Dead Modern Villains that went all over the place. And he's just super creative all the time. Like, he's one of those people that he just bleeds art. Like if you go look at his Instagram, like his photography pictures, he does all that stuff himself, and it's all really weird, dark, artistic looking stuff, and his music videos are kind of the same way, and he does all that. He's definitely got like that artist thing, where it's not just about the music, like it's an art thing. But yeah, I've known him for years, and he's always been really creative. And what blows my mind about him is he was in that rock band, Dead Modern Villains, for a while, which were awesome. One of the best bands I've known from the state of Wisconsin. And then when they broke up, he kind of didn't do much for a while, and then he came back with like this really super heavy duo with the drummer from Dead Modern Villains, the original drummer, called Apocalyption. And that was like Pig Destroyer meets like Mastodon heavy. Like it was heavy, like really heavy. And he wasn't singing. Like he was like growling, screaming, which we didn't expect because he was singing in a rock band before that. So it was this really big shift to a whole different style of music. And not only that, but he did it really well. And then, he's doing this now, and this is one-man band stuff where he's playing drums with his feet and guitar with his hands and singing. But a lot of it is really bluesy, Delta-inspired stuff. So he just kind of, whatever he does, he tends to do really well. So I always like playing with him. But this thing that he's doing now, Keith Daniel, fits with me really well. And I do about half of my set is like, the devil and murder and whiskey style, Delta blues stuff. And then the second half of my set is, the more gospel-y stuff. I do some traditional gospel stuff, old spirituals, that kind of thing. And then my stuff is kind of in that same vein, with kind of a dark twist.
Wicked. I found it's an old book of revival hymns from like early 1900s. It kind of feel as though there's probably a good old gospel tune in there. But you mind? You got a gospel tune you want to share?
Yes, I do.
Sweet. What's this one called?
So this is a cover. I need to change my tuning a little bit, but this song was originally written in 1937, or first performed in 1937. I'm sorry, nobody really knows who actually wrote it. By the Heavenly Gospel Singers.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And then over the years, a bunch of other people covered it. Johnny Cash covered it in 2006. I even think Tom Jones did a cover of it at one point.
No way.
I think, yeah. I think when I was looking it up, because I knew it was an old spiritual and I knew Johnny Cash had done it, but I had no idea how many people had actually done it till I Googled it. And I think Tom Jones was one of the people. I don't know what that's got to be like, but I, at some point, definitely need to check that out.
For sure.
But,
yeah, it's, sometimes it's interesting how, an old gospel tune can be covered by so many different artists. And is it a greater sense of, like, what's going on in society at the time, in terms of, like, revival or, something to bring people to that? Because obviously, they're recording it for multiple reasons, but maybe the biggest reason is so that they can make a bunch of money.
True. See, for me, gospel music, the right gospel music, a lot of it has like this darkness to it, because one thing, if we're looking at that Old Testament, old gospel type stuff, a lot of it was, the devil versus God. That's kind of the dichotomy, I guess. And with blues music, that's kind of what blues music is. It's that dichotomy of good versus evil, and that's why there's so much religion in blues music, is because these, they were religious people, who were talking about their struggles. So religion's going to come out in there, and so like, you'd have these old blues songs about murder and the devil and all this stuff, and it comes from, that place of religion, that struggle of, well, I'm a religious person and I shouldn't murder this person, but guess what I did? So here's my lament about, what I did or whatever. And people tend to miss that. They're just like, oh, well, it's a violent song and it doesn't really have any meaning. But to me, that's kind of what strikes me as really cool about a lot of that music, is you didn't question when those guys said anything. It was authentic, Like now, if the Jonas Brothers sang a song about shooting a guy, you're like, yeah, right, dude. Like, you don't believe it because the authenticity isn't there. But like, if Muddy Waters told you he shot a guy, chances are he probably did, you know?
Hey, Joe, where you going?
Yeah, I mean, and like R.L. Burnside and some of these old Delta guys, like, there's stories about them getting shot and stabbed in like card fights and stuff. And if you look at the lives of some of these guys, like, Little Walter, for instance.
Right?
You know, little Walter got killed at a very young age. A lot of those guys, you know, they didn't make it to an old age because it was rough living. And it was a time where, you know, the color of your skin and playing music, people weren't all that accepting, you know. So it wasn't like these guys could be amazing at what they did, but they would never see a white audience. They would never, you know, they would never get the fame that they deserved until after they died, you know. And a lot of these guys, Son House, for instance, Son House, at one point thought the devil was going to get him because everybody was dying, so he put his guitar down and hid, and he went and did farm stuff, and thought he was going to avoid the devil that way. And years later, Taj Mahal went and found him and was like, dude, you're a legend. You got to come back and play. So they drug him out, and he was already super old at that point, you know, and he had spent, you know, I don't even remember how many years it was, but he had spent a bunch of years hiding because he thought that playing music was, you know, a good way for the devil to get him. But came back, recorded a few records, and then died, you know. But music today is so different because, you know, there's very few people with that level of hardship in their lives. And that level of hardship just creates amazing songwriting, you know. And say what you will about three-chord blues, it wasn't so much about what they were playing, it was how they were playing it and what they were saying, you know. So I definitely, I think religion, like to take religion out of Delta blues and that whole era just feels wrong to me. You know, it's that struggle of good versus evil, whether it's about a woman or drinking or whatever. It's that struggle, you know. So anyway,
Yeah, it's like the gospel that kind of cleanses you of the struggle in a way, to, you know, lift you out of that.
Yeah,
and
it's troubled people singing about, you know, loss and hardship and all that stuff, and a lot of them are religious, so there was, you know, a little bit of Jesus versus the devil in every song, but perfect tune.
yeah.
All right. So this is a cover. Don't know who wrote it, but it's called "God's Gonna Cut You Down."
Go and tell that long-tongued liar, tell that midnight rider, the rambler, the gambler, the backbiter, tell him that God's gonna cut him down, tell him that God's gonna cut him down. Let me tell you the news. Head's been wet with the midnight dew. I've been down on bended knee, talking to the man from Galilee. Spoke to me in a voice so sweet. Thought I heard shuffle of angels' feet. Called my name and my heart stood still. won't you do my will? Tell that lonesome liar, tell that midnight rider, the gambler, the rambler, the backbiter, tell him the God's gonna cut him down. Tell him the God's gonna cut him down. You can throw your rock and hide your hand, working in the dark against your fellow man. Sure is God made in black and white. What's done in the dark will be brought to the light. You can run on for a long time, run on for a long time, run on for a long time. Sooner or later, gotta cut you down. Sooner or later, gotta cut you down. Sooner or later, gotta cut you down. Sooner or later, gotta cut you down.
Yeah, man. Cash didn't do it as heavy as that, But obviously he had that Johnny swagger to everything.
Yeah.
That's super heavy though. That's great.
Thanks, man.
The EP just came out. We can find it where? Bandcamp,
Um,
SoundCloud.
yeah, Bandcamp, Spotify, Apple Music, all that stuff.
Wait, you stayed on Spotify? You didn't follow Neil Young and get off the platform?
Nope. While we're on the subject of Spotify, can I rant a little bit?
Yeah, because I thought that like Spotify is one of those things where it's with artists getting paid or not getting paid, and how do we reconcile all of this when you want to get your music out there on as many platforms as possible to reach as many people as you possibly could in order to maybe continue to make a living at it.
Yeah. So I have a super unpopular opinion about Spotify. But my opinion is this. I don't think that boycotting Spotify helps anybody, really. And here's why. So for most bands, beginning to mid-level bands, Spotify is a huge help in a lot of ways. Helps you get gigs. It doesn't make a ton of money, but it does make money if you're getting a lot of plays. Now, it's not perfect, and I think the system needs to change. However, when you boycott Spotify, the only people that are really hurt by that are the artists that you love. The company does not care. They will keep operating if you boycott them. They're making money hand over fist. They don't care. So the problem becomes, how do we fix that? How do we get artists paid more? I think our time is much better spent talking to lawmakers to enforce rules that make companies like Spotify more accountable. That's what I think needs to happen. I think in the meantime, following your favorite artist, in addition to buying all of their merch, their physical stuff, puts more money in their pocket. It's not a ton of money, but if you buy their CD, you buy their shirt, and you stream their record, you are giving them as much money as they can possibly make.
So what about I wouldn't disagree with what you're saying. I think you're very sharp on that because, as much as you want to talk about big government, small government, get out of our lives, business regulation, so many people are for the free market and what they think that means, but that is, I think, a contention to be made because there are things that can be done on those levels that would make it better if the industry had more regulation to it or enforcement to those ends. I would argue also to say, on the other flip side of that, what about those artists and those record labels making decisions not to make physical copies of things because of the digitization and the streaming platforms that are out there, and vehicles not being made with a CD player in them? So why are you gonna, you can't go on that long drive anymore unless you get an aftermarket install at a place like Sounds in Motion or something like that, But
I think,
you know what I mean?
I think that just in the time that I've been playing music, I've seen things evolve and change, and just stuff is different, and that's always going to be the case. I think it's important for bands to have merch of some kind. I think as long as there's serious music people, I think those people are always going to want to have something physical. Vinyl is huge again. I'm a firm believer in streaming and vinyl. I think that is the way to go. When my band is on tour, we sell way more vinyl than we do CDs. And part of that is, what you're talking about, where vehicles don't come with CD players anymore and that sort of thing. But I think as long as there are what I call the diehards, they're the people who go to shows and pay the covers, they buy the shirt, they put money in the tip jar. Like, they're the people who follow you, that go look where you're going to be and, are very into what you're doing. You're always going to have those people, and I think it's just a matter of figuring out what and how to market your people. CDs, unfortunately, I don't see coming back in a huge way. I think their time is kind of past. I could be wrong, but that's not the end of the world. Like, vinyl is huge. Bands can do vinyl, and fans can buy that. Shirts are always going to be a thing, and like we were talking about with cool art, you make a cool shirt. Sometimes people don't even care what you sound like. I've had people come up and buy a shirt. They're like, I don't know what you sound like, and I got to leave because I got to get home to my babysitter. But that shirt's cool, so I'm going to buy it. So I mean, I think there are ways to get around that. But my big thing is, I think being proactive about it. I think the only way, because if the goal is to boycott something, usually the goal with boycotting anything is to see that thing change or get the desired result. And I just don't see that happening with Spotify. They're too rich, they're too big, and they've done so by making millions off of paying bands very little. And I'm not okay with that. I should go on record and say that. I don't like the system. I think it needs to change. However, it's become a necessary evil for a lot of bands. And without it, I don't know if I would have made my house payment over COVID. I'll be real with you. Without Spotify, it would have been real hard. And I don't make a ton off of there, but $200 a month is $200 a month. And with things, the way they are since COVID, it's really become vital for artists to monetize every single thing you do so that you can, make money if you can't play shows. And one thing, and I was kind of on that train before COVID hit, luckily, so I kind of didn't have as hard of a time adjusting as I thought I would. But, for guys like me that make their living touring, it's, it's a pretty surreal experience to have all of your work for your entire, for everybody, sound guys, tour managers, venues, musicians, everybody was out of work all at once, all at the same time. And it's a pretty scary thing at 46, thinking about how you might have to make a career change. So I guess what I'm saying, my point with Spotify is this. I think that you should listen to the music you want to listen to on the platform you want to listen to. I'm not saying don't do that. But if Spotify is what you've used and you choose not to use that and you go to Apple Music or whatever, that's cool. But somewhere streaming your favorite artists has value to them, and it helps them. And it helps them look good when they're booking, when they're touring and places look them up and go, oh, well, these guys have 10,000 Spotify followers. They must have people that care. We'll book them. That's putting money in their pocket. That's helping them further down the road. And at the same time, like I said, we gotta approach the legal aspect, because these companies are allowed free reign to do what they want with no restrictions. And that's really the problem. So I think fixing the problem means tackling it differently rather than just boycotting it. Because if you're boycotting them, you're not fixing the problem. You know, you're making a statement, and if that's what you want to do, like, you know, cool, let's, you know. But as far as changing the system, changing the machine to, you know, to what we need it to be, more people got to get on the train with, you know, the legal aspect of putting some restrictions on these companies so that they ultimately have to give a fair pay to the artists. That's my thing anyway.
Yeah, I'd be. I don't know if you follow David Pomeroy or not. Musicians Union, American Federation, musicians.
Okay.
So he's based out of Nashville. Actually, when I was on tour with the Ditch Runners, we ran into him down in Iowa at the Gas Lamp. Like, he was there on tour, right? And then he came and sat at the bar and was like, you know, checking out the music scene or whatever. Who's he on a tour with? A guy just passed away recently. One of those old, you know, stars from, you know, Nashville. Anyway, yeah, so I think, you know, guys like him, you know, the head of the union, they're in there, you know, talking to Congress and stuff like that, trying to make things like that happen.
That's what we need to do. That's the only way it's going to change. Otherwise, it's going to be a bunch of people just boycotting Spotify and, you know, and your friends not getting your money, and nothing changes, and it just keeps looping around, you know.
Yeah. Hey, well, you got any more gospel for me, Reverend?
I think
Bring me out of these doldrums of depression.
Actually, I'm not going to play a gospel tune. I'm going to play something else.
All right. I will say it's a real treat to have you in the living room for the session today. I've looked up to you for so many years as a musician, and I remember walking into Mark's guitar shop down there in Wausau, and
I sold you your Taylor.
You sold me my first Taylor guitar. And
I think you came in there with Tuck too, didn't you?
Maybe at one point we did. I was in there with my actual father and mother, I think.
I was going to say, I thought I remembered you coming in with Tuck, but it was a long time ago.
It was
I'm old.
Yeah.
I can barely remember what I ate for breakfast today.
We'll give you a pass.
Yeah, it's all downhill from here, Scott. Wake up one day and you're like, man, my back hurts, but I didn't do shit yesterday. Why does it hurt?
Well, that's why, you know, immobility leads to
Over
immobility.
40, that's why.
Oh, over 40.
Yeah. Over 40, everything hurts, just different places every day. And you'll find one day you'll just be like, man, it's, life is different. It's very different. Mitch got in the van one day and he's like, I pulled my back out when I sneezed.
Yeah.
I'm like,
There
just
you
wait.
go. Oh, man. Oh. What's the name of this one?
I'm going to do a Muddy Waters tune. Since we're talking about badass Delta dudes. Can I say that?
Yeah.
Badass Delta dudes?
You can say whatever you want. I just have to
potty
bleep
mouth
it out
and
before it goes
sometimes
to air.
gets away from me. I've been trying very hard not to swear, hopefully.
Well, you did say shit.
I did.
Now I just said it.
Is that bad?
Well, I can't air it on the radio. I'll have to bleep it out. Or
Darn it.
now I have to censor myself because I just said it too.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
It's a problem for me, speaking without curse words.
You know, it's the great flexibility about doing pre-production on a program like through a live stream like this, because then you're free to say whatever you want.
See, what's messing me up is I'm holding a guitar and I'm playing. See, if I'm just in interview mode, I can focus on one thing.
Yeah.
And then my brain goes, don't swear, don't swear, don't swear, don't swear, don't swear. But if I'm holding a guitar, swearing just feels entirely too normal.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right. This is Rollin' and Tumblin'.
Rolled and I tumbled, cried the whole night long. Rolled and I tumbled, cried the whole night long. Woke up this morning, all I had was gone. Been drinking muddy water, sleeping a hollow log. Been drinking muddy water, sleeping a hollow log. If I can be your king man, how am I gonna be your dog? Rolled and I tumbled, cried the whole night long. Rolled and I tumbled, cried the whole night long. If I can be your king man, how am I gonna be your dog?
Rolling and tumbling, yeah, man. Muddy Waters cover by the Reverend Meantooth right here on the Midwest Music Hour special session live from the living room. Man, what a treat to have you. Thanks so much for joining me today to chat a little bit. You know
Thanks
what
for
we
having
didn't
me.
talk about really. I mean, and maybe I know you. I think a lot of people know who you are and whatever. But I guess what we skimmed over a little bit was just sort of that that typical, hey man, how'd you get your start playing music? Who was inspiring you when you were growing up to even like play music? What types of things led to that? I always like to share my experiences a little bit, but I know. Well, it was like sixth grade band, going in and doing that through school and having great teachers and and taking that and building on that. I know that in chatting, like you had an influential high school teacher, for a while that kind of kept you going. I'm not sure that was necessarily. Well, I don't know. You want to talk about Mr. Santee and
Yeah.
and high school and how cool it was to have a guy like that around?
Yeah, Jeff Santee. That dude's awesome. I was having a hard time even going to school for a while because I hated school so much. And I had study hall with him, and he somehow got wind of the fact that I played guitar, and he would come over and talk to me about like cool records and stuff, and that led to jamming after school, and it became like the thing that I wanted to go to school for, So I'd be like, oh man, I'm skipping today, but then I'd go, oh. Then I miss jamming after school with Santee and all the other musicians. I guess I'll go. So it was one of those things where it not only was cool from a musical perspective, but it kept me going to school, And yeah, I mean, and I've stayed in touch with him ever since. Like, in fact, I just talked to him the other day about places to put the Reverend Meantooth thing. And he's always been really supportive. Like, he's checked out like all the bands that I've been in and stuff, and he's always had cool stuff to say. And so yeah, he was a big influence on me.
Because you weren't in the traditional music concert band class or jazz band or anything like that.
No,
right?
I was always kind of like, I was a weird kid, man. I was a metalhead, and I had a crippling anxiety disorder that wasn't diagnosed at the time. And so like when I was a kid, my grandpa would tell me to just man up and stop being a baby. And because we didn't know that I actually had an anxiety disorder. So I was kind of quiet in high school, and, I had friends, but, I didn't really, I didn't really interact with people I didn't know. So, yeah, I wasn't in band. I was in pop band for a while, but that was other kids like me. It was all metalhead kids, playing Megadeth tunes and stuff like that. But
yeah, there was was Jeff teaching that at the time, or was there another?
No, Mr. Sorgatz was teaching it.
Herman?
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I was pop band alumni according to him for a while, because it was an easy credit. Like, you show up and first hour and play guitar, you get a credit for it. So, but yeah, he was the pop band teacher, and he was super cool. Like, we'd go in there and play Metallica and Megadeth and all this metal stuff that he probably hated. But yeah, like me, Mark Skinner, Shane Hochstetler, and a bunch of other guys that were in Rhinelander High School at the time. Shane went on to have a really successful studio in Milwaukee now, and he's recorded and toured with some really big names, so he definitely Mark, I think, still lives in Rhinelander. I haven't talked to him in a while, but he filled in on bass for us in Meantooth Grin for a while too. But yeah, Herman Sorgatz. I ran into him somewhere. I can't remember where it was. It was a few years ago. I ran into him at the grocery store or something, and he just gave me a look like, and I'm like, "You're Herman Sorgatz," and he goes, "I don't know who you are." And I was like, "I'm Tom Jordan. I was in pop band like 4 years in a row." And he goes, "Oh, guitar player." Then he asked me how I was doing. This was a long time ago. I had just had my son, so it was probably 20 years ago. And so we talked about kids, and he told me to be a good dad, and that was the last I saw him. But yeah, he was the teacher, and I had heard later that Santi was doing it. That would have been a cool experience too, to have him for that class.
Yeah, I know that. I think he might have been. As far as I understand it, he was part of that push to get a pop band class like that established.
It was a cool class, and
I'm not sure if they still have it today. They had it when I was going through school as well. It was taught by the band, director and whatnot. But
it was a cool idea, and if nothing else, it was good social interaction for weirdos like me, metalhead kids with a mullet and no friends to go play rock and roll with other weirdos like me.
Well, you talk about growing up and living with anxiety and stuff. Music is one of those things that's really cool for the individual because it's something that you can do on your own, and you have a sense of achievement, right, as you learn and grow on your instrument and as you grow in music, and that gives you more confidence as you grow, and you get to experience playing music with other people, and all things that brings.
Yeah, and all the stuff it does to your brain too. Music has some pretty interesting effects on the human brain and just the human body in general. Like, you know, there's a lot of scientific evidence that shows that music can actually improve your mood, you know, help your focus, and you know, stimulate your brain in ways that, you know, other stuff doesn't. So it's good to expose kids to that early, you know. Plus, you know, anything to keep them out of trouble, I guess.
Yeah. Sometimes music might get people in trouble,
Yeah.
and other times it, you know, it lifts them out of it, you know. But man, what a treat. What I want to be wary of your time here. We're just a little after 1. I know you got to get on the road and get on with your day and stuff like that. So I want to say thanks again for joining me in the living room here on the Midwest Music Hour.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, man. It's March 12th at the Rhinelander Brewing Company, downtown Rhinelander. Check it out on the Reverend Meantooth Facebook page. And you want to go out on a tune?
Sure.
You got one in there?
I'll do something mellow. This is what happens when you only bring one guitar.
Yeah, those nationals, they can withstand pretty much anything. That's a beautiful guitar, though, as well.
Thanks, man.
You know, I'm used to that beautiful Gretsch that like Dave Kriesel did that custom
yeah.
job on for you and whatnot, and you know, the stacks of the orange cabinets behind
It's
you.
a little
just-
different seeing me acoustic. Everybody's like, where are the oranges? I'm like, this is acoustic. There are no oranges.
Yeah.
We'll do another gospel tune. What did you say? What did you do when they asked you, who are you? Did you tell them who you know? Did you hear that rooster crow? How will you answer? Where will you go? Did you hear that rooster crow? How will you answer? Where will you go? Did you hear that rooster crow?
say? What did you do when they asked you, who are you? Did you tell them who you know? Did you hear that rooster crow? Judas, oh Judas, what have you done? When and betrayed God's own son. Did you tell them who you know? Did you hear that rooster crow? Did you hear that rooster crow? Did you hear that rooster crow?
Very cool. It's the Reverend Meantooth, Tom Jordan here. You can catch him and Keith Daniels at Jamrock in Green Bay this Saturday if you're down in that region. Otherwise, Saturday, March 12th at the Rhinelander Brewing Company. You can catch him solo. I want to thank so much for tuning into the program today. Thanks again, Rev, for coming to the living room.
Thanks for having me, man.
Such a real treat. Geez, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and we'll see you on the next Midwest Music Hour.